You might remember us, the ones in the red shirts.
We can't afford guns being the leading cause of death for children and teens in this country.
Whether you're Republicans or Democrats, you can't look away.
We're not going to shut up until we get the change we deserve.
Thoughts and prayers are no longer enough. We need to take action now.
You didn't get this far by saying you can't. You didn't get this far by just being mediocre. You moms demand action, and that's what we demand.
Welcome to Movement Builders, a show about the people ending gun violence in America, all of us.
I'm Kaylin Ford.
And I'm Nikita McDaniel. We want to wish y'all a meaningful Black History Month. We're celebrating in a heavy season for this country. And if history has taught us anything, it's that Black folks don't shrink in moments like this. We organize, we protect each other and care for each other, and we build forward anyway. And that's exactly the spirit that we're holding in this conversation today.
Yes, that's right, Nikita. And we are so honored to be joined by two incredible Black women leading the way in this work. Ariel DeNey Rainey is the founder and CEO of Hustle Mommies, a nonprofit organization transforming the narrative around Black motherhood nationwide by equipping urban moms to lead in business, policy, and their communities. Under Ariel's leadership, Hustle Mommies launched Paint the Hood Orange, a movement to address gun violence through maternal leadership, and helped secure over $125,000 in startup funding for Black mom-owned businesses. She is also the creator of the Urban Mom Collective, National Coalition for Black Moms, where she partners with Latina and Palestinian moms to build an intersectional policy agenda.
And we're also joined by our very own Executive Director of Moms Demand Action and Students Demand Action, Angela Ferrell-Zabala, a lifelong grassroots organizer who has worked on women's rights, civil rights, LGBTQ plus rights, immigration, reproductive rights, racial rights, and education, as well as gun violence prevention. Welcome to the show, Ariel and Angela. We are so fortunate to have you with us today.
Yes.
So happy to be here.
Yes. Welcome to the show. We are so excited for this conversation.
Thank you. We're happy to be here. And I just have to say, I am so glad to be doing this with you, Ariel. I fangirl over you. You're doing incredible work. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
I'm fangirling too. You know I love you, Angela. You're like SoBomb.com.
I love it. I love it.
Well, I got to say that I got goosebumps on my arms because I am fangirling too, with the two A's in the building today.
Yes, me too.
Ariel and Angela, we know y'all are going to bring it. I know that we're going to talk about a whole lot, and I'm really excited for us to dig in. So let's just start with what brought each of you to the movement. And Ariel, why don't you go first?
I'm from Chicago, a neighborhood called Inglewood. So if you know about Inglewood, Derrick Rose is from there. Grew up with him in the same neighborhood. Jennifer Hudson, Little Dirk, you name it. Inglewood is like the capital of Chicago, as we like to say it. But also Inglewood is where gun violence is really real. By the time I was 25, I lost at least 18 people to gun violence who never got to see the age of 25. And when it really impacted me was when I was about 12, my childhood friend Corey was shot and killed over a go-kart 2-3 blocks away from where we grew up at. He told a guy he couldn't see the go-kart. He went back and got a gun and shot him in the face. That was like the first time when we were really like, oh my gosh. Then the neighborhood crush, his name was Lil Woo, you guys. He got shot and killed when I was like 13 and he was 15, 16. So we start witnessing this around that time and seeing the community change. But now as a woman who just turned 38 a month ago, I'm looking at Chicago and all my peers have been impacted by gun violence so hard that it's almost a normal thing. And I hate to say it, when I hear about such and such get killed, we just be like, dang, that's crazy, because it has happened so much. And so getting into this movement was not just those two. It was my god brother, who was a popular rapper, who got killed being at the wrong place at the wrong time. My cousin Kiana, whose mom just passed away because she had heart problems because of her death. So it's so much that has happened to me. I can't even really pinpoint what made me get inspired, because I have been completely traumatized my entire life as a Black girl growing up in Chicago. So getting in this movement is because I wanted voices like mine to be heard, but also the mothers who have been impacted that were Black in these urban and rural communities to have their voices heard as well.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yes. How about you, Angela?
Thank you, Ariel, for sharing that. I just want to take a quick beat and just say, I know so many people are listening to this and many people survivors themselves. And I just want to take a moment of quick silence. So many lives stolen. And so that's why I'm glad we are having this conversation today and really thankful for the work that everyone's doing. I got into this, I'm just a fiery person that wants to see justice. My mom named me after Angela Davis. Thank you, Mama. And I've been in so many, as you said, so many different issue areas. And I think with gun violence, I've always been so frustrated by it. But there was a point in time where I was tired of turning on the local news. I live in D.C. And so all around me, I would just see it and hear it and just be really frustrated by this and feeling like there's nothing to be done. But there was a point, and me being a mother of 4 children and saying, this is something that I can't just be on the sidelines for anymore. I have to actually actively participate in the solution because everybody is at risk here. It's not just some people. It can come and meet anybody at any time. But for me, more than anything, was seeing survivors of gun violence step up and do everything in their power to prevent the next community from seeing the kind of harm and devastation and the trauma that Ariel just spoke about. So I said, I need to step up and use my voice and whatever skill I have to support a community free from gun violence.
I tell you, powerful.
Thank you,
Thank you
Angela.
both for sharing. I want to stay right here for just a moment and talk more specifically about the role of Black women in this movement. Because historically, Black women have been on the forefront of every major movement for justice in this country. We organize, we sustain, and we move the work forward. And often we do this without recognition, and sometimes while being written out of history altogether. So I'd love for you to share about your legacy and that legacy and what it means to carry it in this movement. And Angela, why don't you go first?
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Everything you said, Nikita, I +1, +10, +50,000. I think for me, it is really important because what I understand of myself, my other incredible women and leaders like Ariel, like I'm thinking about my mother and just Black women, strong Black women that I have learned to love and have just grown up around and been in community with. And it's just, we have a spirit of, we have to figure it out ourselves because there is a history in this country where people weren't coming to save us. We had to save each other. We even look out for people that would not look out for us because I'm going to just say it. I'm a person of faith. I think we are coming from the divine. And so because of that, I can speak for myself because I'm of the divine and come from the divine. That's the only kind of work I can do. And that means that I'm here to stand up and to hold everybody in their power. And if we do that, when Black women come together, when Black women are actually fighting on behalf of community, they're fighting for everyone. So I think it's really important to make sure that there is visibility because we know better than anyone what our communities need and deserve. And we also understand that it's important to reflect back images of Black women leading because my daughters, other folks' children can see, and it's not just Black children that benefit from this. So I just think that's why it's so important to step up and make sure that there are spaces and platforms for Black women to be able to raise their voices in these places.
Ashe, so be it.
Absolutely.
And I would even say that Black women in this position, for me, from my lens and positioning here in Chicago, I kind of got pushed into gun violence advocacy when Kiana was killed. Actually, the day before she was killed, I was working with Diane Latiker from Kids Off the Block, who is a phenomenal leader that wanted to just do stuff to get kids off the street and stop getting them from shooting and all that other stuff. And the next day, Kiana was shot and killed on the bus. Like, my cousin was literally on the bus. A guy was arguing. He shot in the bus, and she got shot in the eye and died instantly. That was traumatizing for us. And I just know that a lot of moms here in Chicago did not feel like their voices was heard in any capacity. And so when Moms Demand Action started and they start mobilizing moms out here in the burbs, I joined. And what did I do? I said, hey guys, come to the South and West Side of Chicago because what's happening in the Black community, they would love to see moms that's suburban that don't look like them standing. And now we have people like Maria Pike. Maria, she might as well be from Inglewood, okay?
She from Inglewood.
Listen, I'm from Inglewood, and she tried to question my Inglewood. I was like,
She said,
I
wait
was
a
born
minute.
there, Maria. Hold on, wait. These my cousins and them. But she's so serious about Inglewood. We have the Maria
Yes, she
Pike.
is.
We have the Creoles who's now running for state senate or state
Yes.
rep or whatever. So we have women like that are leading the charge and making things happen. When I started Paint the Hood Orange, it was because my generation, that is the millennials and even Gen Zers, the Gen Xers and older don't understand the Gen Zers. We don't understand them. So we're trying to pipeline build to help create something for them to be able to understand, especially from an urban perspective, especially as a girl who grew up in a neighborhood where drill music was created, which is the music that is fueling urban inner city gun violence. And so being a Black woman in this space is super important because we bring a perspective, and especially in urban communities, that's a little different. But also, it's always great to bring a diversity to an issue like this so we can tackle it as one. And so I like to say we just add a little bit of Lowry seasoning to the situation to make sure it tastes good and we get the right recipe together.
Come on, seasoning salt.
Yes. I love that. Thanks, ladies.
I love that, Ariel. And you have just dedicated your life to focusing on Black moms as leaders in their communities. And the work that you're doing is changing people's lives. You've mobilized over 3,500 mothers across the country, including for Paint the Hood Orange. And we'd love to hear more about your work because it's incredible.
So I literally went to sleep and had a dream about Paint the Hood Orange, and I woke up and just got to work with it. What really pushed us towards the gun violence that in recent years was during the pandemic here in Chicago. You would think people were wearing masks and keeping 6 feet distance. They were dying. The gun violence here was like every week there was a child getting killed, there was a parent getting killed. And so me and a former partner was helping with repast and a funeral. Then after that, the last funeral we helped with was in 2022 when Derrica Patrick, whose family I love now, like we're locked in, she was killed at 3.5 months pregnant. They shot her 34 times sitting in the car.
Oh my gosh.
Because of her being friends with a rapper who I won't say. But because she grew up with him and was from the same part, she got caught up in that allegedly. And so she was shot 34 times. And doing that funeral and having an unborn child in a box in a casket with her and seeing her 9-year-old daughter cry over her mom, I couldn't do any more funerals. And so this work and mobilizing moms is because of women like Derrica. It's because of her mom, Miss Christine, or even her sister. Her sister's in a wheelchair, paralyzed because she was outside walking. They were trying to kill the guy with her, and she got shot. And her son was shot at 7. So imagine that one family having all this gun violence trauma. And I think that for me, mobilizing moms is very important. And with Paint the Hood Orange, our programming, we really focus in on actually teaching moms how to get therapy for their stuff, but also how to elevate their voices. Because the moms that we deal with feel like no one cares about their story.
Right.
They were like, oh, we from the hood. They don't want to hear from us. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Oh, we're from Mississippi where it's poverty, and they want to hear from you too. And so we make sure that moms are getting the help, but also the training and understanding advocacy. And another barrier is policy. If you're trying to make $1 out of 15 cents, you don't care about what bills is passing in Congress when you should.
That's right.
But we break it down with them in layman's terms to help them to understand that. So that's what we've been doing, and we're going back to do it virtually to really help moms to be locked in with this work. We've been supported by Moms Demand Action in every town and other groups that has really supported that. And so that's what we really focus on. And we've even brought moms to the White House and to DC to really meet with individuals so they can learn. Angela did some breakfast with some of our moms. Remember Angela?
Yes, that was
She
incredible.
met with a lot of them. She met with Dorothy, who's in the wheelchair. She heard these stories, and they absolutely loved her.
Oh, you're definitely a woman after my own heart, Ariel.
That's amazing. And that work is so important because those stories are so important. And the silence around those lived experiences only makes it harder. It only makes the trauma deeper. It only makes, as you said, healing from it or finding your voice harder when you feel like you're getting this message from everywhere to be silent about what's happening in your community and to your loved ones. So Thank you for raising your voice, and thank you for helping so many other women raise their voices through your work. We're really grateful for it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You touched on it a little bit, Ariel. Part of your work centers Black, Latina, and Palestinian mothers, building policy and advocacy skills and holding space for tensions that come in a multicultural organizing situation. That work is really, really close to my heart. Would you mind telling us more about what this looks like in practice and why this moment actually demands it?
So we work even beyond those particular groups. The thing is, moms of any oppressed group or moms that's in need have to come together in a time like this who care about what's happening in this country. We even work with moms of the LGBTQIA plus community, because what's really happening is they want us to have what I call oppression Olympics, where we're going against each other to get scraps, because they really don't care about any of us. It's like Hunger Games. I was telling my kids, like, we're in Hunger Games right now. And although from a Black woman and Black perspective, we feel like that oftentimes when we get into solidarity with everyone, we get the end of the stick, which historically may be true, but we have to come together and understand that right now, a pluralistic approach to saving our communities is really what needs to be done. So this is how we do it. In Chicago, I have a very good friend. Her name is Susu. She owns like 10 restaurants called S2 Grills. She has supported Hustle Mommies by having us have organizing meetings at her location. She's connecting me with her community. She's talked to our moms about what's going on in Palestine, because, we're completely disconnected because we're trying to figure out why Poo Poo and Ray Ray shooting at each other. So we don't really understand what's happening across the globe. She gave us that education to help us understand why we should care. We've dealt with Latino moms. This is my favorite thing. When we go and meet with the police chief or we meet with anyone and we have moms that can't speak English or only speak Spanish and they have stories of their kids, the Black moms get in front of them and say, and you gonna listen to her story too. So we turn into the protect the mama bears and elevate them. And I also have worked with like Chicago Latino moms. There are many moms and families that's impacted by gun violence here in Chicago that can't speak because they're undocumented. So how can we get them covered if their kids who are citizens were killed, but they can't elevate it because they're afraid? So we come and work with Chicago Latino moms and other groups by elevating their stories. So that's just an example of how you can have a way where you can support each other and use each other for good and stand together for something powerful. So that's how we operate. And I think that especially in the gun violence space, we need to work together to make sure that we are doing it in that capacity.
That's how you operate and that's how you roll, Miss Ariel.
Yes.
Greatly appreciated. You're leaving nobody behind.
Yes, especially because it's a different cultural things. One thing I learned about gun violence, Angela, you can probably tap on this too. There's a cultural divide. It's like DC gun violence and Chicago gun violence is not the same as Baltimore. Like it has a cultural connection. And so even when you deal with gun violence and trauma from different ethnicities, it helps you where you can learn from each other on how to give proper tactics. Mayor Johnson here talks to Mayor Scott in Baltimore all the time. They're always exchanging notes on what they can do to lower gun violence. So we as moms across different cultures, ethnicities need to figure out the same thing with this gun violence piece, because we have the answers. We just need to bring the puzzle together.
Bring the puzzle together.
That. I really love that.
And it's so true that as moms, there's something that unites all of us. Our differences, our lived experiences can be very diverse and unique, and that's a strength. But when we bring a child into the world, we want to protect them. And we want to protect all children. Moms aren't just here, and Angela, you say this all the time, right? Moms aren't just here to protect our kids. These are all of our kids.
All our babies.
Absolutely.
That's
right.
And we can stand with each other and bring different talents and different gifts to this movement. But there's something very powerful about women saying, you cannot ignore us. We will not go away. We are going to protect all of the children in this country who deserve to live and grow up and have their birthdays and their milestones.
That's right. I always say any threat to a child is a threat to all of us. Any child in harm means we're all harmed. And that's just how we have to look at it. There's no way we can look away. We should never look away.
We can't look away. And with that being said, Angela, we see you out here doing this work during a time when the Trump advanced administration is literally trying to erase Black history. Why does this work and our leadership, right? Boo, boo, boo. Why does this
Oh, my
work
goodness.
and our leadership matter even more during times like we're living in now?
Yeah, well, I want to pause on that. I don't know that people understand the gravity of this. It feels like some people might think it's a small thing. It's okay, Black History Month. It's like a month, or it's like a greeting card, or it's a moment in time. But what we're actually doing is we're separating not just those individuals that we're kind of uplifting their contributions to the society, but we're separating that history from the whole, which is dangerous. I will start by saying you cannot erase it. It is what it is, okay?
Yes, it is.
Black history is Black history. It's going to stay Black history. It's not going anywhere. And first of all, it's like I said, you cannot separate it from who we are as a country. It is impossible to do that. Not only for the fact that it deserves recognition, but we can't grow forward together and be great if we ignore those big pieces. So Black history is really important. Black history is American history.
It is.
It is American history. And secondly, it survives in us. So that's why it can't be taken away. You can try all you want to slash this and that, but it survives through us. It survives in our leadership and our strength. And so good luck with that. Also, these attempts, they just make it that much more important that we stay visible and organized, that we make sure that the tables are open for these voices to be elevated. Whether or not you're a Black person, a Black woman or not, it is part of your job and responsibility to make sure that there is space at the table for all these voices. As Ariel just so eloquently said, we can't solve a problem from a very narrow perspective or view. We intentionally put on blinders when we do that. Why in God's green earth would we want to do that? There's so many opportunities. We miss opportunities. We miss ways that we could come to other solutions on this crisis that impacts all of us, by the way. So we're going to make sure that they know we ain't going nowhere. The history is going to be the history. The future is going to be the future. And we're going to be part of that bright future as we are leading in this country to end gun violence.
That's right.
Yes. I'm so excited just hearing this.
Trump and them don't really care about gun violence like that, because that Office of Gun Violence that Greg Jackson had, they just completely wiped it out, and we were making progress. And when I just look at this administration and all that, it was discouraging last year because we were under Biden and Harris. Things were going forward with gun violence.
Right.
When you have someone that's pro-gun and it just don't care and only care about him and his friends' agenda, it's very disheartening. So when you asked Angela that question, I just said, oh, my heart goes out to her, because she's out in the forefront making sure that individuals like me, that we have a seat at the table. And they pulled the whole table from us, or at least tried to.
Right.
Yeah, and guess what? We know how to build our own damn table.
Yes.
Like, I'm just going to be clear. The way, let me drop a little history on you. Before it became a mainstream movement, it was Black women that were having to talk about this in many ways. I'm not discounting anyone else that was fighting on behalf of gun violence prevention in this country, but the impacts it's still disproportionate in our community. So before there was a CVI grant or any money being pulled down, that's why I also give big props to any community violence intervention program out there, because many a times, and under Biden-Harris, there were monies that were made available to them, has been pulled back, shrunk up. But for them on the street and doing this work and stopping the next act of violence from happening, they have to do it. It's life or death. We're still moving on with it, and we're going to fight like hell to make sure that the resources are going into the communities that need them. And by the way, even if you're not living in a community that has a community violence intervention organization because you feel like it's not a needed thing, it would behoove you to be interested in this, because when we are taking care of communities, no matter where they are, then everybody gets to thrive.
That's right.
That's so real. And I want to say that a lot of my peers that's here in Chicago, I lost like 2/3 of my budget last year, and I was still out making it happen. So we've been like, what's Erykah Badu? We was born in the world with $3.06. That's been us. We was making it happen.
Yeah.
So yes,
As we always have historically, right?
Yeah, I salute everyone that understand that struggle, that has been doing it, because it's been all of us in the CVI space that's really doing stuff in urban and rural communities. We lost funding, but it's thankful for organizations like Moms Demand Action who can send, literature, who can point you in a direction, who can give you an emergency grant or support you. That's something that's very important to have as well. So community is very important in this work, under this administration.
That's absolutely right.
It is so important. I see people sharing their gifts, skills, and talents and connecting assets and resources now more than ever. The connection of those resources, because when we look at it, we have a lot. So we're going to keep going anyway.
Absolutely.
That's
and
right.
this
I love
country
it.
has enough for everybody. They just need
It
to divide
does.
it better is basically where we're at. And we know who's trying to make that happen and who's working hard on the ground to make that happen. And we know who's trying to do the opposite of that. So on that note, we know this is going to be a huge year for our movement. It's only just begun, but the headlines are coming fast and furious. I think that there's a real feeling that that's not an accident. This administration wants folks to feel overwhelmed, distracted, hopeless, feeling like there's just too much or nothing they do can make a difference, which we know isn't true, right? But it's normal to sometimes feel that way. But we're laser focused on what matters, fighting for our communities, gearing up for the 2026 midterms, holding the people who failed to act or who enabled the chaos accountable, and replacing them with people who are going to do their jobs and stand up for our communities and make sure that everyone can not just survive, but thrive. So, Angela, it's February, but that work has already begun. Tell us about the work that moms and students and survivors of gun violence and community partners are already doing to gear up for the 2026 midterms and the 2028 election.
Ooh, it's never too soon, right? Before I answer that, I think it's really important that we also name what we've already won, that we celebrate progress that we made. It's so important because this is a marathon, y'all. We're going to keep on moving, but the only way we can keep motivating ourselves is to see how far we've come. And I just want to name in 2025, let's talk about some wins. Anybody want to hear about some wins out there?
Break it down.
Spamberger in Virginia, a former Moms Demand action volunteer who lives in the governor's mansion. Come on, let's do that. Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey. Come on, Governor Sherrill.
Yes.
We got Pennsylvania Supreme Court. There's so many more things that we did that's an important, and it's also signaling where people stand here. People, if you give them information, as Ariel said, give them access to information and you give them a pathway to act, then they will show up right on behalf of the needs that they have, but also their community, especially when we think about our issue of gun violence. And it's really proof that voters are really rejecting the cruelty, y'all, of this administration. We are so tired of seeing it. And we want elected leaders who will actually fight for their health, their safety, and the freedoms. So that is what we're going to continue to do. Our volunteers, I just want to talk about last fall when we were out here trying to get some elections won. We made over 400,000 voter contacts last fall. If you're listening to this, you can give some little look. You hear my snaps?
I'm snapping. I'm snapping.
And guess what we're going to do? Guess what we're going to do? We're going to take that momentum into the midterms. Like you said, the work starts right now. It started yesterday. It started months ago. Having conversations with your loved ones is really important to lay out what's at stake, getting educated about what and who is on the ballot. It can be overwhelming for folks. As Ariel said, folks are, especially in this climate, are just trying to survive day to day, trying to figure out, there's many things. People were impacted by layoffs from the federal workforce. There's so much that's happening. So you're trying to pay your bills, you're trying to get food on the table, you're trying to keep your family safe, you're trying to make sure you got your health care. There's a lot going on. So we got to make sure that we can draw the lines to where the needs, the things that the challenges you're facing right now have direct consequence of the person that you are bringing into office. And it's not just talking about a president. It's not just talking about a governor. All those are great. Even from the local, like my mom said, from the dog catcher all the way up to the president.
Yes.
See what your damn dog catcher's doing too. We need to make sure everybody is doing this, getting educated about who's on the ballot, and even working on campaigns yourself, which you can learn about through our Demand a Seat program if you're interested in that. But elections absolutely have consequences. I will keep saying that over and over again. We are seeing that play out in real time, y'all. And I say that all the time. And it's more clear now than ever. So we have to show up and bring new folks into this work too.
And I think, Angela, what you said is so important. Also reminding folks that when we elect those people, they get to work for us. And Ariel, you talked about the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. We were lucky to have on the podcast Greg Jackson and Rob Wilcox in earlier episodes talking about all the incredible things we accomplished when we had the keys to the White House, right? Which we will have again. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But reminding folks what happens when we do elect those gun sense candidates. And Angela, as you said, in my community here in Hudson County, we have a Moms Demand Action volunteer who's now the mayor of Hoboken, New Jersey. She got to work on this issue, joining Mayors Against Illegal Guns on her first day in office. So when we elect real leaders from our communities and from our volunteer base and from our community partners, they get to work for us. And we need to remind people what that looks like and celebrate those wins.
Yes.
That's what power looks like. That's
they get to
power.
work with courage. They get to work with courage. So that's important too. We don't see a lot of courage sometimes out here, and we know that these leaders do.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And also, to go back to what Angela was saying, it's so important for us to have conversations with people in close proximity to us, because those 10 people you educate and have a conversation with tell their 10 people, tell their 10 people. We got to get back to the old school ways of word of mouth and have that. I'm currently an Obama leader, and something that Michelle Obama has is the kitchen table. Who is that on your kitchen table that you're talking to? So your kitchen table are the closest people to you where you can have these conversations. So get your kitchen table together and get them out there giving the information. And so you can really do that. That's a part of what we do with Hustle Mommies. We are actually going to be working with another mom organization that's amazing out of Michigan called Mothering Justice. We're about to put together a Mama for All initiative that's really about educating moms on voting, helping them with the state level, and really getting these midterms looking cute. So we're coming together to really focus on that, to really just teach them about advocacy and gearing up to get everyone out there to get out the vote, because we think that is super important. And so just talk to your people. Even if you're not really policy savvy, you don't really know the terms, you don't understand it. We have Chat GPT now, okay? If y'all listening, please go to Chat GPT, type in what policies are at play in whatever state or USA, and ask them to put it in simplest form. You can do that. I do it all the time. I'm a policy person. I got a degree in it. But a lot of times I put the policy in and say, break this down. I don't got time to read all that. And they'll break it down for you. So do that. Have conversations. Use your social media platform. And if you have a job where you can't do it, have a little girls' night with some wine, watch an episode of Scandal, and then talk about it.
Yes.
Talk to your people and tell them we are not doing enough and we have to go harder.
That's right. Okay.
Oh my gosh, I love you. Where you been all my life?
And when are you running for
amazing.
office? Come on, man.
I was like, demand
Let
to
me
see.
get you. Let me
Ariel,
get you here.
can we bring
You
you?
just want to give me to demand a seat. They've been telling me to do it too, Angela.
Okay. Well, we will have a talk after this, Ariel. Don't you worry. We're going to have a talk.
Yeah.
You got stuff going on. We're not going to push you, but a little bit. We're going to see what's up.
You and your girls. Your girls, your dads, your mommies, all of them.
Everybody.
In my 40s, I would consider doing something in office.
Okay.
And you said you just turned 38, though,
We'll
so
get
you're
up. We'll get you. You got a little runway. So
Yeah,
that's
we got a
perfect.
runway.
That's
I
sweet.
got some room. I got to get the mommies together.
We got it. Okay. We
We'll
got
take
your
those
back.
mommies too. I'm pretty sure you got some mommies. They ready. Don't even realize
you
it.
get the demand to see. We almost demand some seat demanders your way.
Yes.
Love
But
that.
that's how we build power.
That's
I love
right.
it. And I'll tell you, you both have just fell right into the palms of our hands with the next question and the next question. And so this question we ask of all of our podcast folks that come and join us because it's important. And you carry so much. You carrying things that you don't even know you got to carry the next day. What are you each doing to take care of yourselves?
You know what? That is such a great question. I think it's so important for people to think about, not just us, but everyone that is engaged in this work. Like, what are you doing to care for yourself? I will say I had to learn the hard way that, first of all, boundaries are important. You can't save everybody. And when I say that, I'm not talking about in the realm of this issue. I'm just saying everybody pulling at for your attention and needing something or wanting a piece of you, especially if you're like us. We are all organizers. We want to problem solve. So there's a competency we have with that. I'm a mom. I nurture. And so it was very natural for people to come to me for everything. And I would feel I would put such pressure on myself to solve everything. And this goes back to what Ariel said. We got to do this in community. And it's okay to sometimes say, no, I can't do this, but I got a friend. You could talk to this person, or you can get this resource. We can point people in other directions. You don't have to personally handle everything yourself, because you will burn out. And this is a marathon. We need that. But also taking space for myself, quiet time. You know how much I appreciate quiet time as an introvert. I don't know if people know this. I am an introvert. But to go and just snuggle with a good book, or sit with my kids and draw, turn up the music loud when we're in the kitchen, I'm preparing dinner, and we just start dancing around. Just those moments of being present. Oftentimes I say, I can't change what happened in the past. I can learn from it. I cannot predict the future, because that'll just stress me out, and I don't have all that control, but I can be in this present moment and build towards what we need to see. And so I think that's really important for people to just take care of yourselves and take care of others, right? Mental health is really important.
That's right.
Good therapists also, that also also wonders. So that's what I do.
I love all
thank
of
you for
that,
sharing
Angela.
that.
8
Agree
minutes
with
of
that.
therapy.
Come
I have
on
my
now.
therapy called at 9 o'clock this morning. I have it every week.
Perfect.
And I'll give me an executive coach sometimes too. Sometimes you need that, a life coach, and you need Jesus. So
You
I
need
get
all of
at
it,
the same
everything.
time. But my idea, so I've been doing these past few weeks, is decluttering. So of course I lost weight and I need to get rid of a lot of my closet, but having a clear, empty, clean space just does something for you when you do this work. You come in the house, your house is clean, you got your candles, light up, have a glass of wine, and you just sit and be still. And me, I'm an empty nester now. So I'm just sitting in the house by myself, like, I prayed for this. Meek Mill, I used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this. That is me.
Yes.
I mean, yes, I prayed for this. But because my phone is always ringing, and when you're passionate about this work, sometimes you volunteer yourself for stuff you shouldn't even be doing. No, you don't have the capacity, but you're so dedicated. So boundaries is something that I'm learning in this lifetime that I'm entering right now, this season, because I didn't have any. Because moms would call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, need to talk. I would answer.
Right.
I would call people like, hey, this mom needs something. So having boundaries help shift around things that don't need to be there.
Yes.
It helps protect you, and it just keep you vibrant. And I'm very extroverted. I'm opposite of Angela. I'm extroverted. I talk to anyone, and I go to a concert, make a concert BFF. I am that girl.
Yes.
So I need to have a moment to where I can just be still with this cat that's laying on me right now, and we just snuggle up and go to sleep. So boundaries, therapy, and just embracing quiet and stillness, because with this work with gun violence, it's always noise. It's always, unfortunately, a victim that you have to advocate for. There's a policy that's a threat to us. There's loss of funding. There are people who need help. We have a community. I work a lot with Orisa from Not Another Child in New York, and she the one who told me, like, Ariel, it's okay to say, I can't do this for you right now, because I was stressed out about funding and everything. She said, sis, you got resources. Take time to scale back and just do what you can do. This doesn't make you a failure. This makes this country a failure, not you.
That's right. Come on, man.
So I had to stop beating myself up, and I had to really just go within and heal inside and out, and stillness, y'all. Just sit and be quiet and just look at the wall sometimes.
I love that.
And just
Looking at
be
the wall.
I just need to shut my brain down.
That's
so
right.
I use at least 5 to 10 minutes a day to where I'm just not thinking about anything but just relaxing. And it makes a difference.
I love that. You sparked something in me, Ariel. First of all, I will be your concert BFF. You just call on me when you want to do that. So you got me there. But I do want to talk about this stillness really quickly, because I think, and again, I'm going to bring out my faith. I'm very spiritual, and I have deepened that spirituality, especially in this climate. You just got to dig deep in. And what it means for me is, it's not only for me what I say the divine, but the divine, you are the divine. It's in you. So that means your own intuition. That means listening to yourself. And you cannot do that with chaos, with clutter. When you're striving, always, your ego is leading you. You're striving. Sit still. And you will be surprised how much clarity you will get. Trust your gut.
Yes.
Trust your inner voice. Let it speak. Because we are always hushing up, especially as women and particularly as Black women. Trust, trust, trust. And some of the clearest things that have come to me, some solutions have come in that quiet and stillness. And I will tell you, people will fight it for a little bit because it's very uncomfortable to sit by yourself in stillness, especially when you're used to filling it with busyness. Busyness because we got work to do, we got lives to save. Busyness because we're running from ourselves in some ways. So like, here's a little therapy session. So just sit with yourself. Sit with yourself, breathe, and also every day I do this. 3 things I'm grateful for. You can start your morning or you can end your evening. It doesn't matter when you do it, but you must have gratitude, because when you have gratitude, then you start projecting gratitude. You start projecting, and then you start seeing resources. You start seeing opportunity. When you're living in deficit, and I'm not going to lie, it can feel really heavy. People got all kinds of things they're trying to shuffle through that can make you feel like you're behind on stuff.
Yeah.
And for real. But you got to change your language from scarcity to abundance and gratitude. And then you will see the very things that you seek. So be careful, be quiet, sit with yourself, love yourself first and foremost. That's the only way to sustain yourself doing this work.
Well, y'all passed that, sis.
Angela and Ariel, this was a master class on self-care and deep self-care, right? I think sometimes our culture touches like, oh, self-care is a bubble bath. Well, it could be a bubble bath, but that's not it. That's not, you don't take a bubble bath once a week and then hope that the rest of the weight of the world falls off your shoulders. Like, I don't know what's in that bubble bath.
There's not enough soap in the world.
Absolutely not. Yeah. So
I will say a nice deep tissue massage is also
That's
amazing.
right.
You're getting wrapped, having a mud mask or something. Like,
Come on now.
I'm a fan of the massage.
A facial, yes, all of it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And letting,
get you a Reiki cleanse.
Cleanse that energy, cleanse those frequencies.
Drink some water and mind your business helps too. That's very important.
Yes, mind your business.
Forget about me and my kids or the hustle mommies and this work, baby. Leave me out of it.
Okay, we need a T-shirt. Drink your water and mind your business.
That's right.
Let's get it
That's
together.
right. That's
Seriously,
right.
Ariel, let's get it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yes.
I'm also a big fan of that mental health walk where you just walk. It can be a walk to nowhere. Sometimes I just take a couple laps around the park near my house. And Angela, as you said, just like sit with it. Resist the urge to put on the podcast and the playlist and scroll through and add to cart the kids' pajamas that you need to order, and just like actually take a deep breath in, listen to the birds, listen to the sounds around you. It makes a difference. And like you said, at first it's uncomfortable. You're like, oh man, I got to fill this silence with something. Should I make a phone call? Should I do this? Should I do that? And that's when you know you need it the most. When your brain is telling you, please do anything but sit with yourself.
Sit with yourself, yes. That's right.
Yeah.
You both gave such a masterclass there, as I said, on being able to sustain yourself in this work, which is incredibly important. We know these are heavy times, but both of you seem to have a lot of hope, big reservoirs of hope. And so for folks who are listening to this right now and who are maybe feeling a little hopeless or frustrated or overwhelmed, what's one thing you can share with us that gives you hope, or how do you draw back into that well of hope that's inside when things are tough?
Community. In doing this work, if you don't have a community, and there are many communities, but the community I belong to of mom leaders like Angela, I can call her and text her. She's going to give me a resource. I can call Danielle at Mothering Justice, Carrie at National Parents Union. That community of mom leaders who really give a damn about what's happening and that knows that I'm scaling up right now and that we took some L's last year. That's what keep me going. I told you, Arisa told me, like, baby, you didn't feel this moms the country did. So to have people who've been in this fight for a long time, who give you big sister energy, as I like to call it.
Oh, I like that.
That is important to have. So I said my community and these moms who tell me that they look up to me and they believe in me. So because I am carrying that, I'm like, I have to keep it going. That's the hope, because if they look up to me and they believe in me, that means that if I keep going, they'll see that they can believe in themselves. And when I bring them with me, that they are just as powerful. So that's the hope, because we're pipeline building more moms to care about their community.
I second everything you said, Ariel. I would also add what gives me hope are young leaders, our student leaders that are stepping up in this time. It is, let me tell you something, what I was doing at 15, 16, 17, 18, it wasn't hitting half of what some of these young folks nowadays have to get up with the weight of the world on their shoulders.
That's right.
At the forefront of movements, they don't necessarily have to know the next step. They just know that this is unacceptable and the status quo will not work. And they try to figure out and they organize. So I think that keeps me going every single day when I see young leaders, even my own kiddos. I have conversations with them sometimes, and my 9-year-old was just, she sometimes can lay out eloquently like what should be happening in this country and what shouldn't. And I'm just like, my Lord, are you running for office? Because I'm about to, man, we need this. So I think just young folks help me because it's also a new perspective, a new way of looking at things, a new approach to things, technology, all the things. I'm a Gen Xer over here. So, latchkey generation. So that's a whole nother podcast. We got to talk about what that did to us. But I will say it's just brilliant to see this kind of way that they're approaching this incredible work from our kids on college campuses, organizing to in their neighborhoods, doing the work. Yeah. I just got to give a shout out to leaders of like the Flip Project, like Tone and leaders in Baltimore. Yes. Oh my God. Manny and Philly, all these young men and women that are doing incredible work, that are survivors of gun violence themselves 3, 4, 5 times over, like Ariel described. And you don't have to have hope at that point. Because what are you hoping for when you feel like there's been so much loss, but you get up one foot in front of the other? That is faith, y'all. That is faith beyond faith. Yes, and if they can do it, then I can get up. So that is what gives me hope every single day.
I have goosebumps, Angela.
Yeah,
thank you.
My goosebumps have not left me since we started.
That's beautiful.
Thank y'all so much, Angela and Ariel.
Yes.
Before we let y'all roll out of here, is there anything that you would like to share with our amazing volunteer leaders, team members, and community partners before you go?
Follow Hustle Mommies on Instagram at the Hustle Mommies, okay? And visit hustlemommies.org. We are relaunching Paint the Hood Orange this year in June, and we're going to be throughout the Chicagoland area, but now we're going to be going out into the southern suburbs of Chicago. And drum roll, Hustle Mommies is launching in Maryland.
Oh my congratulations.
Amazing. Yes, so we will be doing things in Prince George's County. And we're eventually going to head up to Baltimore with Mira Scott and Hannah Scott, his lovely wife, and doing some things with them as well. But we are going to be Prince George's based as of now. So I'm excited about Hustle Mommies coming to Maryland. And Angela, I will be there more permanently.
Oh, man. So we're going to definitely be concert buddies, and we'll be doing some work together. So I'm looking forward to that. Yes. I love that. I love that. Well, I would say everybody follow Hustle Mommies and their incredible work if you're not already. But I also just want to say a big thank you to all of our amazing survivors, students, volunteers, and partners who are continuing to stick with this moment and do the work that we need. I know that it's hard to have hope in times of darkness that feel dark, but you are the light, y'all. You are the light. You are the light. When you see darkness, light up. Get another light, keep lighting, and then we're just undeniable when we're together. So we got to keep doing that. And it means everything that you all keep showing up. Regardless of what's happening, we know, eyes on the prize, what we're aiming for when it comes to stopping gun violence in this country. And part of that is also, it's stopping the gun violence, saving lives, and it's also the connection and the healing. We don't talk about that enough. Yes, the policy, the law, and electing people so that we can change the way some of these communities are managed and we can really keep the guns off the streets. But also, it is about healing and connection. We need that because that is part of the solution to stopping the violence across this country.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
Mic drop.
Y'all, our conversation with Angela and Ariel was powerful and inspiring. And I've got some great lessons to take with me into my work.
Me too. And it's getting me so fired up for our elections work, which is going to really require us to turn out more voters than ever before so we can create the change our communities and our countries so desperately need and deserve. So thank you all for being in this movement with us at this pivotal time. We are so grateful for you.
Yes. And as always, we want to hear from you. This podcast is our space, so please keep your feedback coming. Send your thoughts and stories to movementbuilders@everytown.org. And again, that is movementbuilders@everytown.org.
And please keep sharing this podcast with your fellow volunteer leaders and team members, and tell us what topics you want to learn more about in 2026. Thanks for listening to Movement Builders. I'm Kaylin.
And I'm Nikita. Thank you for all you do to save lives. It's working.